both me and my co-founder, who's from Sweden, around the age of like 16, 17, kind of realized we're probably not going to make the NBA, which we're like, shit. So we were just like, let's do something else around basketball and try to see whether or not we can bring a community of like young, passionate people who were like us and wanted to join the NBA, but really couldn't because we sucked, and bring them all together and start getting them to talk about basketball. And so we did that, started growing the account, and then started realizing, oh crap, like brands now can advertise on our platform because the target demographic we go after are 18 to 24-year-olds, 80% are male, living in places like Chicago, LA, New York, urban areas. And they're interested in basketball, but they're also interested in hip hop, they're interested in fashion, and there's a lot of really good like alignment between a lot of brands there. So that's what we did, and then in the process of doing that, like 3 months ago, I don't know how big of basketball fans people are here, but there's a basketball player called Chris Paul who plays for the Houston Rockets right now. They're doing really well, 1-1 in the series, I'm happy. But Chris Paul's agent is a good friend of mine, and he reached out with like, Swish, do you have a tool Chris could use to find his most engaged fans in Houston? And I didn't at the time, but it kind of gave me the idea of like, what if any celebrity had like an app or a web platform they go on where they take their Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, they link it, and they're able to find your passionate and influential fans off social media. So the people that are DMing you a lot, retweeting you a lot, replying to you, mentioning you, all of those different things. Imagine you could just find them and then reach out to them and just say thank you, or reward them, or use that data and start targeting ads to them. So that's the gist with what TrueFan's all about. We launched 4 days ago in LA, which was, we had a really good party for that, and yeah, the core principles are always like collaboration, content, community, and then there's an element of like the X factor, and that's kind of where I like to spend a lot of my time, because for us, we had everything, like we had collaboration, we were growing up with the kids that were running these big accounts now. There's a guy called Omar who runs House of Highlights, which is owned by Bleacher Report, but like we grew up with this guy. So like we saw him like start the account and then make it big enough to be able to get bought out. Same thing with content, like we realized very early on that we weren't gonna be like an ESPN or SportsCenter because we didn't have original content. What we were gonna do is aggregate it, but then add really funny captions and things that like you wouldn't expect, right? So like imagine watching a highlight reel of like a player looking really intensely on the bench because they're losing. We might add a really stupid caption to that, like when she doesn't call you back at 12 p.m. or something like that, right? Like really intense, but like it appeals to our demographic that loves memes, we love pop culture, and we love being able to talk about these types of trends. And then the final thing in terms of content would just be giving them an idea of what's doing well at any given time. So depending on the platform, like for example, yesterday when we were doing our LinkedIn meetup, I talked about how video is likely going to be where you should spend most of your time because LinkedIn is rolling out live video in a couple of months, which means the algorithm will only factor video in more, just like it did a year ago for short form posts. So those are like the three things. The X factor is where I like to spend most of my time because no matter what, like even if you have all those bases covered, like you need something like pizzazz. I don't even know if that's a word, but X factor, like right, like you need something that differentiates yourself. So for us, for Dunk, it was that every single DM we got, at least for the first 2 years, we replied to it.